After the last Capcom showcase where we finally got to see Sagat and his World Tour video, or maybe you see him as Kratos, depending on the perspective you have on that trailer specifically, I started thinking there are still so many iconic Capcom and Street Fighter characters that probably deserve to be DLC on Street Fighter 6, but we don't know how many years of active development this game is gonna get, you know, how many seasons. So in this video I want to propose 12 characters that I truly believe deserve to be DLC down the line for SF6, and I also want to know in the comments which would be your 12 characters that need to be in Street Fighter 6 before the game ends, and please like and subscribe if you can to help keep the channel growing, and let's get into the list. And we are gonna do this by eras, of course, so let's start with the classic characters, you know, the OG ones, and there's 3 old characters that I would love to see on SF6, but I'm not sure if they're actually gonna come back. The first one is gonna be Fei Long. I really want to see Fei Long on SF6, but I do believe that all the licensing issues behind the character could be like enough of a wall to basically never put this character again on Street Fighter, which is very sad. So I do hope that in some way Capcom, you know, can get all the licensing issues around this character ready, and we maybe can see him again on SF6. I think that it would be really cool to have him back. The second classic character that also I would love to see back is Vega. I do think that Vega is kind of a given in many ways. Like, he's a face of Street Fighter, you know, he's one of the most famous old characters, so I would be really surprised if Vega does not come back on Street Fighter 6 again, basically. But what I would like to see is basically, you know, some sort of like gameplay redesign for Vega. I would like him to have, you know, some classic stuff, of course, but I would love to see a Vega that basically plays different. Maybe, you know, has like half new moveset. I don't know exactly what I would do with him, but I would like, you know, like a refreshing new take on the character, just like with all the other, you know, SF6 characters. Most of them feel very refreshing in comparison to all their entries. So yeah, I would love to see Vega again, but with a twist, you know, with something new. And the last classic character that I would love to see also on SF6, it's gotta be Balrog. Like, I love boxer archetypes, especially in Street Fighter games, and I think that Balrog is different enough from Ed to actually justify like him being in the roster. And you know, he's an OG, he's a classic character, quite famous also, so I do believe that he has a chance, you know, of coming back. And maybe not as much as Vega, you know, I'm not exactly sure, but I would personally be super happy to see Balrog back, and also see, you know, how much he would change in gameplay terms, just like I said with Vega, and see what kind of twist Capcom gives him as the new, you know, old boxer, you know, in the game. I think that it would be very cool and very interesting to see what happens with his gameplay and his visual look. So those are my 3 classic picks, you know, they gotta be in the game. I would be really happy if down the line we get Fei Long, Vega, and Balrog, you know, as OG classic characters on SF6. And now we move into the Alpha series, one of my personal favorite moments in Street Fighter history. I love the Alpha games, their visual style, the gameplay also is amazing, super fun, and junky a little. And there's a lot of Alpha characters that are super cool and probably deserve a spot as DLC on SF6, and the first one is gotta be Sakura, right? Like, Sakura is such an iconic and famous Street Fighter character. Like, she's arguably one of the most famous female characters in the history of Street Fighter as a franchise. Everyone loves her, and I think that it would be really weird if she does not end up being DLC. I don't know how they are going to change her gameplay, you know, and her like basically moveset. Of course, she is a Shoto and she has a specific identity inside that archetype that is very unique, but I'm really excited to see what she ends up playing like in this game specifically, because a lot of Street Fighter 6 Shotos are like alternative versions of Akuma. Like, the Shotos in this game are insane. They have so many options that I feel like she could end up being one of the most fun characters in the game. So Sakura needs to be DLC on SF6. And then for pick number 2 from the Alpha series, another character that is insanely famous. I'm kind of surprised that he was not base roster for SF6, and that is Cody. I think that Cody is incredibly like beloved by the Street Fighter community and by Capcom fans, and it's really weird that he was not on the base roster. Like, I really thought that he was gonna get that spot, so I do believe that Cody deserves to be DLC. It would be really weird if Cody does not end up being in the game, and he's always a unique character, you know, in terms of gameplay. He always has something that is very different from the rest of the cast, and I would argue again that in terms of gameplay, he's unique enough to deserve a spot, and also he's famous and beloved enough so that people are gonna be super happy when they see him, you know, as a trailer for a DLC on SF6. So Cody probably also deserves a spot as future DLC for Street Fighter 6. And the last Alpha character that I picked, and some people maybe are gonna be mad by this and others happy, you know, nothing that you can fight when it comes to choosing characters. Like, you're always gonna get someone mad, but I would love to see Sodom in Street Fighter 6. I love Sodom and all the appearances that he has in other older fighting games, and I think that he's kind of a weird character. You could like put him in that category that Capcom has been doing on each season, in which they basically put an older character that is super weird and obscure and they completely redesign him. Sodom is not as obscure as other, the characters that they have been putting on, but you could put him in that archetype and basically justify his presence in the game because of that. And I think that Sodom is so cool. Like visually, his design is amazing. The gameplay also is very, very unique. One of the most unique, like historical Street Fighter characters and basically Capcom characters. So I think that Sodom being in this game would be a good pick. It would probably put some people really hyped, and he would look absolutely incredible on the RE engine. So personally, I would like to see Sodom as DLC for SF6. And now we're moving to the picks for the Street Fighter 3 characters, and I think that everybody knows what I'm gonna say here. It's kind of like obvious because we all know what we want, and if Capcom does not give us these characters down the line for SF6, it's going to be a big disappointment for the roster of the game. One of the biggest mistakes that they can make, to be honest. And the first one is gotta be Dudley, right? Like Dudley needs to be on SF6. It's literally the perfect game for him in every single term, like on gameplay terms, on visual terms. Dudley would be one of the most hyped DLC characters for this game, and he has not come back in a long time, and being such a famous and beloved like Street Fighter 3 character, how the hell is Dudley not going to be in this game? I don't even need to say that much about the character. Like we all know that we want Dudley on Street Fighter 6. It's obvious. Then the second pick is gotta be Makoto, right? The same case, like Makoto would be amazing for this game in visual terms, gameplay terms. She would probably be absolutely top tier. She would play really, really well in this game, specifically because of the mechanics and her playstyle. And I do believe that Makoto also deserves a spot because of her gameplay uniqueness. Like Makoto is a very unique character on Third Strike, and the way she plays is not really imitated by any other Street Fighter character that well. So I do think that Makoto maybe deserves a spot even more than Dudley, at least on gameplay terms, because we already have boxers and blah blah blah. I also mentioned Balrog at the start, we have Ed, but still Dudley is unique enough and Makoto is even more unique. So if we don't get Makoto, it will be another huge disappointment for the roster of SF6 down the line. We really need Makoto to be in this game. And the last one, maybe some people are not gonna agree with this, but I want to see Urien again. I think that Urien is a staple of the Street Fighter 3 series, and he's kind of like the weird, villain guy, or whatever way you want to talk about him. And I think that Urien is also such an incredibly unique character in terms of gameplay that he deserves a spot as DLC only because of that. There's no other character out there on a 2D fighter that is that similar to Urien. Of course, you have some imitations of it, but Urien is so unique that I really want to see him again. And also visually, he will probably look very well in this game. So those are my three, Third Strike characters basically that I want to see on SF6. I think that Dudley, Makoto, and Urien really deserve to be in this game. And you could pick other ones, in the weird spots like Remy or whatever, but we're gonna get into that in this last section. And you thought the last section was like modern Street Fighter characters? No, you are wrong. The last section is the weirdos, because in every single season of SF6 we have gotten one weirdo character. Now we're gonna get Ingrid on season 3. So what is gonna happen in the future? My first pick gotta be a Skullmania, dude. Like, I know that there's licensing issues around this character. If that was a reason to not put a character in the video, I would not put Fei Long. So we are gonna put Skullmania on the video, dude, because it would be amazing to have him back. I know that a lot of people would want Skullmania as the weirdo of a season, so I think that he deserves a spot, and it would be really fun to see Skullmania in the game. He would probably be super crazy, so he maybe deserves a spot as a weirdo pick. Then we could also put some money in basically getting a weirdo from Third Strike. I know that a lot of people would like to see Q again, or Remy, maybe also like Oro could make another comeback, or Necro. Like, Third Strike has a lot of weird characters. They maybe are not as obscure as someone like Ingrid, but they are still weird, they are not famous in the most traditional sense. So maybe we could put that money on Necro. I think that Necro is kind of the most weird character, with also maybe Remy. And Q, I think that Q is actually a little more famous now in comparison. So, the Third Strike weirdo, you pick it, dude. Let me know in the comments which Third Strike weirdo you would like to see. And the final pick, I know that a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but I would like to see Hakan. I know that it is a very weird pick and obscure, and people don't like necessarily this character, But with SF6 and how much they changed like the characters completely, I would like to see just what the hell happens with this dude in the game. I don't even know if I want him because of the looks or because of the gameplay. I just know what would happen. It's like an experiment. I think that he's such a stupid, weird character that it would be purely out of interest, you know, out of how interesting it would be to see him in the game. So yeah, I would like to see Hakan. We're gonna get weirdo picks anyway, so why not go in the most weird way and basically pick a character that with a redesign could be one of the most ridiculous characters in the history of Street Fighter. So as I said earlier in the video, let me know in the comments which would be your 12 picks to have in this game. And of course, if you can, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let me know which DLC you want on SF6, and see you on the next one, guys.